The date is Tuesday, December 3. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. A 14-member delegation from the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference met with members of both houses of Jamaica's Parliament at the Courtly and Suites in New Kingston Tuesday morning. The Chinese delegation, which arrived in Jamaica on Monday, will explore Jamaica's political relationship with Beijing. China's ambassador to Jamaica, Tian Shi, will also attend a meeting. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has revised the timeline for a parliamentary debate on the future of the National Housing Trust, the NHT. According to Prime Minister Holness, in its present form, the NHT may need some reforms to meet current needs. In October, the Prime Minister revealed that the 2017 commissioned strategic review of the NHT is now complete. However, addressing a NHT board retreat last Thursday, Mr. Holness said the report has yet to be brought to the lower house. He did make a commitment to see it debated in 2020.
The truth is that the parliamentary agenda has been just so tight. We just simply have not managed to put it there. I committed to have it done earlier this year, but many events have overtaken it. I believe now we are truly way behind on the report, and we may have to have the report updated just to make sure that what was said in the report, the recommendations made, are still relevant and appropriate. That should not take any time, and therefore giving the mandate now to the board to quickly do a review to update the NHT review. And I'm not asking you to undertake an extensive process, just to make sure that the recommendations are still valid recommendations. And I want to therefore bring the report to Parliament. I will give myself the first week in February.
In the meantime, Prime Minister Holness said the government is committed to giving every citizen the opportunity to own a home. He reiterated the government's commitment to ensure the NHT's mandate.
The only way to combat the unregulated, unplanned development of the country, the only way to do it is to have the engine of housing development, which in our country happens to be government through the NHT and the HHJ, is to have that engine revving so fast that you're putting more affordable solutions on the market so that it is cheaper for persons to decide to participate in the formal housing sector rather than to see a piece of land, sneak onto it, hide for a year or two, and then after 5 years, when you go past by there, you see a massive concrete structure.
Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, Audley Shaw, says the recent export of 10 kilograms or 22 pounds of legal cannabis from Jamaica to Canada is a major step in the right direction. The produce was exported by licensed Jamaican cannabis company Global Canna Labs. Speaking to Nationwide News, Minister Shaw reinforced the government's commitment to put the finishing touches to import-export regulations for Jamaica's nascent medical, therapeutic and scientific cannabis industry. Global Canna Labs is one of the leading medical cannabis companies in Jamaica. Jamaica Employers Federation JEF President David Wan says the government could be surprised at the amount of cases it has in its own shop when it passes the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Bill when it becomes law. Consultations on the legal treatment of sexual harassment began in the House of Representatives last Thursday under the chairmanship of Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Babsy-Grange. The bill, formally entitled An Act to Make Provision for the Prevention of Sexual Harassment and for Connected Matters, was first charted by former Prime Minister Mrs. Portia Simpson Miller as Minister of Labour and is currently being reviewed and amended by the current government to fit the new legal environment. In an interview with the Jamaica Observer, Mr. Wan pointed out that globally, sexual harassment has proven to be uncontrolled in public sector organizations. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, Owen Speed, says the Pembroke Hall High School teacher implicated in a recent viral video has not been suspended. Mr. Speed says she's been given time off from work for reflection and has been receiving counseling with a trained psychologist. He says he believes the teacher is caring and wants the best for her students, but agreed that there was need for her to do some introspection. The Healthy Caribbean Coalition wants major changes over the next decade to address childhood obesity in Jamaica and the wider region. Policy advisor Nicole Foster said that 25.1% of Jamaican children between the ages of 5 and 9 and 19.9% of children ages 10 to 19 will be obese by the year 2030 if drastic measures are not taken. During a recent JIS think tank session, she was citing statistics from the first global atlas on childhood obesity published by the World Obesity Federation in October 2019. She noted further that information from the Caribbean Public Health Authority, CARPA, indicates that the region, quote, has an overweight and obesity prevalence that is widespread across both males and females, end quote. Reporters Without Borders is urging Prime Minister Andrew Holness to repeal legislative changes which could see journalists being fined up to $1 million or 1 year in prison for taking photographs or sketches of accused persons. Section 33 of the Criminal Justice Administration Act was this year updated with new penalties. The fine for breaching that law has been increased from $20 to $1 million. The international organization that advocates for press freedom wrote a letter to the Prime Minister dated November 22, arguing that the amendment is a significant escalation to existing penalties, which it believes are already problematic. The Press Association of Jamaica and Media Association of Jamaica have also called for the repeal of that section of the law. Jamaica is ranked 8 out of 180 countries in Reporters Without Borders 2019 World Press Freedom Index. The US dollar is being traded at $135.47, down by 35 cents. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $102.32, up from $102.28, while the British pound sterling is being traded at $173.78, down from $177.52. In regional news, the High Court in Dominica is to decide on Tuesday if the application by 7 individuals for the December 6 election to be postponed to February 2020 will be upheld. However, one of the respondents in the matter, President Charles Savarin, said that the court has had no such jurisdiction to grant such application. CMC's Peter Richards gives us the latest.
High Court Judge Bernie Stevenson has already made it clear that this matter will go forward to the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, when she delivers her ruling on Tuesday morning. As we speak now, the court is still in session. But before that, Cara Shillingford, one of the lawyers representing the 7 people who are seeking to have the elections postponed until February next year, she says that the issue before the court on the whole question of jurisdiction, which is what the court was hearing today, because the lawyers for President Charles Savarin, as well as the Electoral Commission and the state-owned DBS Radio, they are arguing that this court, the High Court, has no jurisdiction to hear the matter. They're saying that this matter could only proceed by the way of an election petition. But Shillingford is arguing that the Constitution provides a right for persons to seek redress, especially in a case where they are going into an election where they are likely to be disenfranchised. She said the constitutional right to vote is also attached to the principles of democracy, and that the people must decide who are the persons to govern them. She says one of the issues with the electoral list is that it must be addressed before the elections take place on December 6th. But Lennox Lawrence, who is representing the president in the matter, said that the president was wrongfully named. As a result, the motion being put forward by the 7 people to have the election deferred to February next year should be thrown out. He said the Attorney General was the person to whom was the proper authority to whom that application should have been made and named. He says the election begins with the issuance of the writ, and so all proceedings to challenge any matter to deal with elections must be brought through by the question of a petition. An interesting argument came from Heather Evans, who is representing the Electoral Commission. She says you could call a rose by whatever name, it is still a rose. She is arguing that the whole thrust of the claims by the 7 people are to stop the elections on December 6th. And she questions, can the court do this? This is a preemptive strike, she says. Basically, what the applicants are saying is that these various reliefs which they are seeking, these reliefs are more or less to render the elections invalid. And she says the Constitution provides the mechanisms under which these matters could be checked. She said once the writ was issued, the process began, and anything between when the issuance of the writ as well as to the return of the election results, the only way you could challenge that is through an election petition. As I said earlier on, the court is still in session, and Justice Bernie Stevenson has already indicated that she's likely to deliver her judgment by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and that's Tuesday morning. And again, she's indicating that on whichever side the coin falls, the matter will go before the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice.
Over in Trinidad and Tobago, according to the preliminary results of the local government elections, which were held on Monday, the People's National Movement, PNM, and the United National Congress, UNC, have gained control of 7 corporations each. However, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is planning to sue UNC candidate Devon Thomas over defamatory statements made at a rally last Saturday. TV6's Joel Brown reports.
PM says the, quote, offensive statements, end quote, are what it called the continuation of the UNC's campaign, which specifically targeted the Prime Minister in the run-up to the 2015 general election. The OPM said, quote, there's absolutely no room in Trinidad and Tobago for statements which have sinister and divisive undertones and seek to describe the Prime Minister as having committed a heinous crime, end quote. TV6 News contacted UNC Public Relations Officer Anita Haynes via telephone to find out whether the party does or does not condone the statements made by one of its candidates.
The United National Congress really does not stand by the comments made by Mr. Thomas, and I think Mr. Thomas has seen the error in his views. He was in the middle of a performance and was doing some freestyling, so I don't think he meant to cause any kind of hurt or harm, but it happened, and he regrets it.
Senator Haynes said UNC political leader Kamla Prasad-Besessa, the leader of the opposition, was not present when Mr. Thomas made his remarks, but was informed of what he said after the rally.
I can't say if she spoke to Mr. Thomas, but I know that she sought clarification and absolutely does not endorse any of those statements or anything like that. And look, we've endeavored to run a very clean campaign that has been focused on the issues, that has been focused on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And what Mr. Thomas said was, like I said before, he was doing a freestyle, and we don't condone it, but we also don't want it to be the defining moment in a campaign that was very clearly about the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
On his Facebook page on Sunday, Mr. Thomas offered an apology to the UNC political leader and to the UNC for comments he made during his performance at the Work Nation rally on Saturday. Mr. Thomas said he also wished to apologize to the Prime Minister for his comments and assured everyone that he will do his best to make amends.
In Guyana, the opposition People's Progressive Party, the PPP, has officially launched its manifesto called Our Plan for Prosperity. Newsroom's Bbcj has the details.
Taking the podium was the party's presidential candidate Irfan Ali. An energetic Ali began and ended his speech calling on persons who have not historically supported the PPP and those who would have walked away to vote for the PBBC come March 2, 2020. Ali promised that his party will tackle issues faced by citizens in education, health, infrastructure, security, and other sectors. He reiterated the party's plans to create 50,000 jobs, provide 50,000 house lots, increase cash grants to school children, reopen sugar estates, and ensure every household has access to internet. Key among the party's promises, however, is to end corruption by enacting campaign finance legislation and ensure that the government disclose all monies received from players in the petroleum sector. Opposition leader Barjack Dev said the PBPC, if elected to office, will put systems in place which can see the finance minister being jailed if he does not disclose monies received from oil companies.
The reason we agreed we were going this route is because suddenly we become a big player, will become a major player in the natural resources sector with oil and gas being discovered here now. And we know of the capability of companies to subvert political parties. So we have to ensure that foreign money doesn't play a role in influencing national policy, particularly in these sectors that are so crucial to the well-being of Guyanese.
In sports, it's all about football. Clarendon College students came out on Monday in celebration mode for the school's attention of the Issa Water Dacosta Cup on Saturday. The defending Dacosta Cup champions went through the competition unbeaten and retained their crown after a 3-0 victory over Dintil Technical on Saturday. Team management did its best to keep the festivities as low-key as it could on Monday, saving the major celebrations at least until after their clash with Jamaica-China, JC, in the Olivia Shield game at the National Stadium slated for this Saturday. Meanwhile, on Hope Road in Kingston, Jamaica-China celebrated their 30th Manning Cup title in fine style with a special ceremony at the Carl Hendrickson Auditorium on the compound. With students and faculty present, Principal Wayne Robinson congratulated the team on their achievements and declared that the title has a permanent home at the school. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks so much for watching.